Hello, welcome to Talking the Secret Doctrine. My name is Dr. Don Franklin Shepherd, and today we will be examining the fifth sloka of the fourth stanza in the first volume of the Secret Doctrine, beginning on page 98. As usual, we will be using the verbatim edition published by Theosophical University Press, located out at Pasadena, California. I want to read the fifth sloka directly and see how H.P. Blavatsky is pointing to a larger concept of the cosmos, spelled with a K, than she has presented before. So let's read the passages directly. Darkness, the boundless or the no number, Adi Nidana Swabhava, the circle for X and unknown quantity, she begins. Well, darkness is the second logos, Mula Prakriti. The boundless or the no number, the immaculate white disk. So we have the first logos and its underbelly, the second logos. Then she says, Adi Nidana Swabhava. So Adi is first. Nidana is one of the causes of the universe. In this case, one of the causes of the 12-fold universe, because there are 12 Nidanas. So she's pointing to something much deeper here. She's pointing to the fact that Swabhavat is holding Adi Nidana. That is, we're used to seeing a sevenfold system with the mundane egg, where Swabhavat is at the top of that mundane egg. But then Swabhavat is part of a quaternary, where the third logos, the second logos, and the first logos are above it, making a tenfold world system. But here we have H.P. Blavatsky pointing out that Swabhavat is also the Adi Nidana. That is, there are two more layers of the cosmos, spelled with K, above the first logos. So we actually have a fivefold arupa world system above what can technically be called a sevenfold rupic world system. We must remember that the words arupa, formless, and rupa, form, are relative. And then she has the circle for X and unknown quantity. The reason it's an unknown quantity is because she's actually alluding to the point that there is an 11th and a 12th layer to the cosmic world system beyond the immaculate white disk. Let us continue. She then lays out three propositions. Let's read those directly as well. The Adi Sanat, the number, for he has won. Here she is referring to Adi Sanat as Brahma, the third logos. She makes this relatively clear in part A, underneath in her commentary, where she says the holy aged, Sephira and Adam Kadmon, with Brahma the creator, called also Sanat, among his other names and titles. So number one there, the Adi Sanat, the number for he is one, is Brahma, the third logos. In a certain sense, Brahma is the second one after the immaculate white disk in H.P. Blavatsky's stream of consciousness. Let's look at the second proposition. The voice of the word, Swabhavat, the numbers, for he is 1 and 9. So the voice of the word, look, we can interchangeably see the voice of the silence as either the second and or the third logos. Swabhavat, what's being said here is that the voice of the word as the second and the third logos are informing Swabhavat as the seventh layer of the mundane egg. The numbers come from Swabhavat. That is the number 654321. For he is 1 and 9. So here we have a tenfold world system being alluded to. Swabhavat, yes, is the sevenfold mundane egg and the highest part of it, but he has the three layers of the three logoi working through him. Finally, proposition 3, the formless square. And then she writes Rupa. Here she's referring to the formless square as the first logos, the second logos, the third logos, and Paramatman, Swabhavat, the Christos, as a seventh layer of the mundane egg. And she goes into this a little bit in part B over on page 99, where she's talking about the sacred four and the Tetactris and all of these very complex ideas. Let's continue to read directly the sloka over on page 98. And there, three enclosed within the boundless circle, are the sacred four, and the 10 and the arupa, subjective formless, universe. Then come the suns, the 7 fighters, the 1, the 8 left out, and his breath, which is the light maker. So over there at the very top, she's referring to the boundless circle, and she's referring to a 10-fold world system. But what is so beautiful about this is she finally comes down to the solar sun and the planets at the end of the sloka. Then come the suns, the 7 fighters, the 1, the 8th left out. So we have the solar suns, we have the 7 fighters, we have the planets, we have the 1, the 8th is left out is the sun, because we have 7 sacred planets, plus the solar sun, and the breath, which is the light maker. So the great breath, working through the central sun, working through Paramatman, working through Swabhavat, working through Oehu, ultimately comes down to the solar suns in cosmic Kama, who then sheds its light on the sacred planetary chains. We now have a complete 10-fold world system laid out in H.P. Blavatsky's stanzas. We can go to the second volume of the Secret Doctrine, which we've looked at before, on page 241, and we can lay out H.P. Blavatsky's 10-fold world system. So now we can do it clearly. This is the point to which we've built up in all of these lectures on this channel. The first logos is the immaculate white disk. The second logos is the dull black ground. The third logos is the central point. And now when we look at 241, we see that the central spiritual sun is the 7th layer of the mundane egg. We see that the polar sun is the 6th layer of the mundane egg. We see that the equatorial sun is the 5th layer of the mundane egg. We see that the solar sun is the 4th layer of the mundane egg. And then we see that the planetary principles in cosmic prana is the 3rd layer of the mundane egg. In the astrolite is the 2nd layer of the mundane egg. And finally, the physical body, the Sthula Sharira, as the 1st layer of the mundane egg. Oftentimes, H.P. Blavatsky will refer to the astrolite. And when she's referring to the astrolite, she understands that it's carrying all 9 layers of the higher stages of consciousness within it to the lowest stage of Sthula Sharira and the physical earth. There is H.P. Blavatsky's 10-fold system that she's laid out in the Secret Doctrine, keeping in mind there are actually 2 connecting layers which are sometimes alluded to. In part C, on page 99, she talks about the solar suns and the planets. She writes, the one rejected is the sun of our system. The exoteric version may be found in the oldest Sanskrit scriptures, where she refers to Aditi, boundless or infinite space. She goes on about Aditi, the mother of the gods, Devamatri, as it is from her cosmic matrix that all the heavenly bodies of our system were born, sun and planets. So we can see Aditi as the 7th layer of the mundane egg, the more material aspect, the space aspect of the 7th layer of the mundane egg. But she can also, in the Secret Doctrine, be seen as the 6th and the 5th layer of the mundane egg. These layers more directly enveloping our solar system, our sun, and our planets. And she continues. Thus, she is described allegorically in this wise. 8 sons were born from the body of Aditi. She approached the gods with 7, but cast away the 8th, Martanda, our sun. The 7 sons are called the Aditya and are cosmically or astronomically the 7 planets. And the sun being excluded from their number shows plainly that the Hindus may have known, and in fact knew of a seventh planet without calling it Uranus. And when we turn the page, she has an italicized commentary, which we want to take a look at and explore. She writes, 8 houses were built by Mother. That is, we have a deity, the solar sun, and the 7 sacred planets. 8 houses for her 8 divine sons, 4 large and 4 small ones. 7 sacred planets being divided into 2 divisions. 8 brilliant suns according to their age and merits. We must remember that when a comet shoots forth, the dawn of time, and it continues in its trajectory, and it ultimately begins to form a nebula around a center, and matter accretes, we must remember that what we are dealing with here is we are dealing with planets in their solar phase, and they shine similar to suns, though not as great strength-wise. She continues, Balilu Martanda was not satisfied, though his house was the largest. He began to work as the huge elephants do. He breathed, drew into his stomach the vital airs of his brothers. He sought to devour them. The larger 4 were far away, far, far in the margin of their kingdom. They were not robbed, and they laughed. They complained to Mother. She exiled Balilu to the center of a kingdom from whence he could not move. She goes on to say that from that day he feeds on the sweat of the mother's body. He fills himself with her breath and refuse. Therefore she rejected him. That is, the sun contains the grossest parts of space, and it creates the most spiritual parts of space. She goes on to show that the sun is a reflection of the great central sun. And here we have that mystical collaboration of the numbers 7 in the great central sun and 4 in the solar sun. She writes, thus the rejected sun, being our sun, evidently is shown above. The sun's sons refer not only to our planets, but to the heavenly bodies in general. Himself, only a reflection of the central spiritual sun, Surya, is the prototype of all those bodies that evolved after him. He is called indifferently the son of Darius and of Aditi, because no distinction is made with reference to or scope allowed for the esoteric meaning. It's a really beautiful stanza. We finally have H.P. Blavatsky laying out the tenfold world system and alluding to, indirectly, a 12-fold world system. We can now layer each stage of the cosmos in its tenfold aspect, step by step, from the first logos, the second logos, and the third logos, overshadowing the sevenfold mundane egg, with Paramatman, Swabhavit, Oyahu as the 7th layer of that mundane egg, stretching down to the various types of suns, the central sun, the polar sun, the equatorial sun, the solar suns, and then the solar suns overshadowing the various planetary chains in their triple aspect. That's it for today. Thank you so much. We'll see you again.